The swirling storm around Tua Tagovailoa just got a little wilder, but the anchor's still holding. After a brutal start to the season, a stretch of losses that felt like each play peeled off another layer of hope, Coach Mike McDaniel stood at the podium Monday and made it clear, Tua remains the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Yes, the doubts were real. Yes, the pain was visible. But in his mind, and apparently in the team's, there's no turning the page on this just yet. Let's not mince it. The season has stunk. The scoreboard screams it. The confidence meter is oscillating. The fan base is questioning. And the locker room? You sense the tension. After round 7 of the regular season, Miami's record? Ugly. Losses stacking up like unanswered texts. The latest. A trip to face the Cleveland Browns, a team that's also slogging through its own mess this year. And yet Miami produced one of its worst outings. 3 interceptions thrown by Tua, and a 31-6 drubbing in Cleveland. That's right, 6 points. The scoreboard looked like someone forgot to show up. It wasn't just a bad day. It was a pattern. Tua has now thrown multiple 3-interception games in a row. He leads the NFL in picks with a total of 10. 10. That's not a stat you want to lead. That's the kind of stat that makes you wince before press conferences. And when he got pulled in the last quarter for rookie Quinn Ewers, that shot echoed. It was a visual. Starter benched, rookie brought in, fans muttering. You felt the heat. Yet, there was McDaniel, calm on Monday. No grand changes announced. No apology tour. The message, this is our guy. We're staying the course. On its face, you'd think that's bold. Or stupid. Maybe both. Because when the ship's taking on water, you'd expect bailing or a new captain. But this coaching staff? They're sticking to the same playbook, same cornerstone. Tua keeps the job. If you're asking why, there are layers. 1. This is a quarterback who showed flashes of brilliance, not that long ago in Miami. You can't ignore that. 2. Disrupting the system now might ripple further than you think. Changing quarterbacks, changing mindset, changing expectation might trigger more instability. McDaniel seems to believe the long-term vision is more important than flipping a switch after 7 weeks. But let's be honest, belief only carries you so far. Results matter. And the results are ugly. This Browns game, it should have been a winnable one. 2 weak teams locking horns should be an opportunity to take a leap, regain some swagger. But Miami looked flat. Interceptions weren't just points given away. They were momentum killers, confidence crushers. Each pick felt like a thud in the back of the stadium, because every time the offense looked like might surge, the ball got ripped away. It drained your attack's life. What happens next? Tua has to answer questions, on the field more than off. The roster around him is talented. They've got playmakers. They should be executing. So the onus falls on the QB and his decision-making, his rhythm, his ability to flip the switch from, we're hanging on, to, we're coming for you. The coaching staff is saying we're with you. But subtextually, you better make something happen. Because fans don't wait forever. Teammates don't operate in limbo. Let's talk honesty. There's risk. If this doesn't turn around, the criticism will ramp up. Analysts will talk about sunk cost, about coach loyalty gone too far, about the ceiling being lower than we thought. There will be whispers of, maybe the switch should have been made sooner. Maybe. But it's not yet made. So Miami is betting that continuity gives them a chance to rediscover their spark rather than reinvent everything midstream. So here's the question, can Tua reset? Does he have that bounce back in him? Because what we've seen lately is weariness in the pocket, hesitation in reads, and a defense of his that sometimes feels exhausted. If he can't flip to aggressive, confident mode, if the picks keep piling, then that anchor might turn into a tether. And what about the coaching? McDaniel knows the boat is leaking. He just declared he's not handing the leak plug to someone else. That's fine if the boat holds. If not, the decision will look reckless. But maybe the faith is exactly what Tua needs. Someone in his corner saying, we're not giving up on you. That voice can matter when the stadium is booing, when the analysts are rolling their eyes, when every snap feels heavier than the last. The players around Tua, how are they reacting? You sense the frustration, not from the guy who shows up, fights hard, but from the collective, we expected more. The identity of the Dolphins used to be electric, unpredictable, dangerous. Right now it's tentative, reactive, scrambling. That undermines a QB's comfort zone. To lead, well, you must feel you're being let loose, not rein tied at every turn. And for the fans, it's a tough sell right now. Tickets and jerseys sit heavy. You love this team. You love the vision of it, but seeing your QB struggle like this, and the coach shrug and say, "We're staying the course," it just rubs you the wrong way. You want fire. You want urgency. You want the kind of performance that reminds you why you showed up in the first place. But there's still hope. Because if you believe, and maybe the Dolphins are making you believe, they've got something to fix. They've got the pieces. They just need the leader to reignite. The next few weeks are big. Real big. Every game from here has that last chance kind of glow. Because after a 6th loss in 7 games, grace is running out. The leeway for mistakes is disappearing. Miami's schedule won't make it easy, but this is a chance. A chance for Tua to show us that what we saw early in his Dolphins career wasn't a fluke. A chance for the coaching staff to turn the "we believe" into "we execute." And maybe a chance for the fan base to remember why they keep believing, even when the scoreboard's mocking them. So let this hang in the air. Does Tua regroup and guide Miami back into relevancy? Or does the rot deepen, and the remain as starter stance looks more like stubbornness than strategy? The microphone's on him now, the clock's ticking, and the rest of the league is watching. Because here's the thing. When Mike McDaniel doubled down on Tua as a starter, it wasn't just a football decision, it was a statement. One that echoes deep through the locker room, louder than any pep talk could. He's still our guy. That's both a reassurance and a challenge. It tells the world we're not quitting. Tua knows that. You can see it in the way he stands on the sideline lately, not defeated, but distant, maybe even wrestling with the noise that won't stop surrounding him. Every headline, every talking head, every fan screaming that it's time to move on, all of it sits heavy. But here's what McDaniel's faith does. It forces Tua to respond, not retreat. Now, does that guarantee anything? Not even close. You can talk leadership, mental toughness, accountability, all the buzzwords, but at the end of the day, the tape doesn't lie. The footwork's off, the reads are late, and the confidence looks thin. Those interceptions aren't just numbers, they're a mirror. And in that mirror, Tua's seeing the version of himself he's been trying to outgrow. Still, there's something hauntingly familiar about this whole scene, right? Miami's been here before. The hope, the collapse, the rebuild, the spark, then the crash again. You start to wonder if this team is cursed to keep circling the same drain. And yet, McDaniel stands there, defiant, like he's daring everyone to doubt him again. Maybe he knows something we don't. Maybe he just refuses to blink first. Behind the scenes, the whispers never stop. Some in the locker room still rally around Tua. They see the work, the humility, the fire that doesn't always show under the lights. Others, they're tired. They've watched opportunities die on his arm. They've seen the defense bleed effort only to watch turnovers erase it all. That kind of divide doesn't explode overnight. It simmers. And right now, you can feel the temperature rising. But imagine, just for a second, if Tua does turn it around. Imagine him coming out next week slinging the ball like he's got nothing left to lose. Imagine the offense finding that rhythm again. Waddle cutting through zones, Tyreek torching safeties, Mostert hammering lanes like a storm. Because that's the version of this team that everyone fell in love with. Explosive, fearless, untouchable. That's what McDaniel is betting on. Not stats. Not logic. Just faith in something you can't quite measure. And yet, faith doesn't stop interceptions. It doesn't fix timing. It doesn't silence boos. That's why this next stretch feels heavier than any other part of the season. Every drive from here on out is a referendum. Every throw is either redemption or another nail in the coffin. Because no matter what McDaniel says now, if this spiral keeps going, his hands will eventually be forced. The fans will demand blood. Ownership will start calling meetings. And that unwavering belief could start sounding like denial. Still, here's the twist no one talks about. Maybe the Dolphins need this kind of storm. Maybe they've gotten too comfortable with the idea of being almost there. Maybe it takes a season this ugly to strip everything back and force real change, not surface-level tweaks, but soul-deep adjustments. Because right now, Miami feels caught between two versions of itself, the dream and the disappointment. One side still believes this roster can light up any defense in the league. The other side starting to think maybe it's all just talk. The only person who can tip that balance is Tua.